Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. This is day 3 of our 8-day series of my journey of being a director of nursing in my position for the last 8 years. I am Michelle Carter, and I'm the owner of MCB Nurse Consulting. I'm also the founder of the DON Success Network, which is a community membership for directors of nurses to be able to grow professionally, personally, spiritually, financially, and emotionally to become the CEO of their nursing department. I want to thank you for taking the time to celebrate this journey with me of me being consistently in the same role for the last 8 years. If you watched our 2 previous videos, I started a position in 2017. Then we talked about 2018. Now we're talking about 2019. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, if you missed the other prior 2 videos, I live here in the Pittsburgh area. I have been a director of nursing for 18 years overall. I've been a nurse for 25 years, and I've been in long-term care for 32 years. Started off as a CNA. I have 2 wonderful children, 2 wonderful daughters, and I also have 3 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters, and 1 grandson, and I've been married for 7 years to my wonderful husband. When I look at my life professionally, I have obtained my bachelor's degree, and I've obtained my master's degree, and I've also I'm a certified director of nursing. And there's so much more I want to tell you, but we're going to talk about it more as we go through the years. But let's talk about what happened to me and my role in 2019. So I've been in a role, I say we're going on, this is 2019. Again, I started on August 28th, 2017, working for a really, really good company. We had some ups and downs. We ran into some situations where a resident had a very severe accident in 2017, and we ended up getting a harm tag in 2018. We overcame that. 2018, I started learning how to build my leadership skills up better. I started feeling more confident in my role. But again, I still didn't feel like it was mine. Didn't feel like it was my building. I still had that scarcity mindset. I didn't feel like I was the CEO of the nursing department. Still had some struggles. I still felt like an outsider in the organization amongst the other directors of nurses. But as I started to grow with myself, I grew into my role. In 2018, I decided to go back to school to become an administrator, but that wasn't God's plan. And I ended up going back to get my master's degree. So now in 2019, I started in 2018. 2019, I'm taking the classes, trying to balance being a director of nursing, trying to balance being a director of nursing and also being a student. And life hits you. You know, we have our roles as directors of nurses, but we still have life. And a situation hit me in 2019 where my granddaughter had to come live with us. And that was kind of, it was, how can I put it? It was a challenge because now I had to rearrange my life once again. But I was happy that we were able to help, that we could take my granddaughter in. She didn't live for us very, very long. It was for a short period of time. But she did happen to come back in 2020, and we'll talk more about that at that time. But in 2019, I'm still growing as a leader in the organization. Our survey wasn't too bad. We didn't have a bad survey in 2018. We're starting to see some leaps and bounds. We're starting to see some progress. We had lost one of our main administrative positions at the end of 2018, which was my nurse educator. And now it was me and my RNAC again. And we were the only ones on call trying to balance who's going to be who, how we're going to figure this out. And in 2019, we ended up getting, in April 2019, we got a new educator. So that worked out, getting him trained. Now we're building our team up. We're starting to see some outcomes, some better outcomes. Our survey was better. But I'm still not secure in a position. I didn't understand why. I understand why I still felt a little lack of confidence. I didn't understand why I wasn't taking ownership. I just didn't understand what the problem was. As I look back now, I look at it because I wasn't putting systems in my life, I'm calling it systems in the workplace. I wasn't pouring into myself as a leader, and also learning how to be a leader in the building. So that's what was the missing link for me in 2019, but I didn't see it in 19. I see it now as I've grown as a leader, as a nurse, as a director of nursing, as a entrepreneur. I see it now, but I couldn't see it then. 19, we had staffing issues. We had some agency in the building. We had our ups and downs. I mean, 19 wasn't a bad year until the end of 19. And, we had that little friend that came and changed the world pop up on us, which is COVID. But again, we had, me and my administrator, we were seeing kind of eye to eye. I still think I ruffled people's feathers a little bit because, as I told you before, I ask a lot of questions. And that's just how my mind works. If you know me, I do personality science also, and I'm a knowledge person. Doesn't mean I'm super smart, but that's how my mind works. I need to know the root cause of everything. I need to dig deeper so I can make a rational decision. So I question people that were not used to being questioned. And that could be intimidating, and that put a couple people off. But I didn't realize I was a knowledge person at that time. I didn't realize I was putting people off. So that's why I still had that disconnect with some individuals, and some of my team members, and some individuals in the company. And again, I'm very outspoken, and I spoke my mind. Sometimes people aren't used to that. But 19, again, wasn't a bad year. I'm still trying to figure out how to balance school. When I was going to school, I went to school online in the evenings, and nobody in the organization really knew. The people that I worked with closely knew. My scheduler knew I was working. I was going to school. My administrator knew, but she really didn't realize how in depth I was, and a couple other people, but nobody really paid attention. They didn't care because I didn't let it affect work. I would go to school, I would write my papers, I would get up in the middle of the night to try to write my papers. Every Friday night, at that time, my husband, he had an evening job. Also, he had two jobs at the time. He did his daytime job and he did an evening job. So when he got up to go to work, in the evenings, I would get up, I would come home, take a nap on Fridays after work, and I would get up and I would stay up until he came home. And he usually got home probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I would get up and I would type my papers. And that was my life for a couple of years, trying to balance it all. So I didn't let it affect my work. As far as did I lack work? No. But it did affect my mental capabilities at work? Sometimes it did. Was I a strong leader in 2019? I was on my way to being a strong leader. Because again, I didn't understand how to pour into me. I didn't understand how to pour into me and with my self-awareness and my self-resilience and I didn't know how to do that. But I was still learning how to communicate with my team, and they were still getting to know me. We had a lot of nurses in 2017 through 18, up until 2020, had been there for a long time. And I like to call them old school nurses. And there's nothing wrong with old school nurses. I'm old. I consider myself an old school nurse now. But they didn't like using an EMR system. They didn't like all the rigmarole with the new regulations and putting and the documentation, it just wasn't their thing. They wanted to do complete hands-on care. And there's nothing wrong with that. But unfortunately, you got to have a balance of both in long-term care. You have to document. You have to cross your T's and dot all your I's. And you have to still give quality of care. And finding a team that understands both can be challenging. Finding a team that wants change can be challenging. They didn't like change. They didn't like, and you know, sometimes I don't like change, but we have to be able to be open to change. So yeah, that was 2019. 2019 I was starting to feel a little comfortable, like I said, but I still didn't feel like I owned it. And the end of 2019, I had Arnett got sick. And she had this horrible sore throat, this horrible cold. We thought it was just a cold. And then I had the same cold. And we thought it was just a cold. And my throat was so inflamed and so red. And so I thought I had strep throat. It wasn't strep throat. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And we thought it was just a cold. But we got to wait for tomorrow to find out what it was. So tomorrow will be day 4. We will be talking about 2020, when my life changed, the world changed, and how I handle it as a director of nursing. Come back and join us for tomorrow, our next video. I really thank you for walking with me with this journey. I'm doing this because I want directors and nurses to know you can too survive your 8 years. You can too survive in a building if you find the right fit and how to be that CEO. And you have to be able to learn how to pour into yourself. And that's where I lacked in the beginning. I wasn't pouring into myself. But I will continue to talk about how things changed for me as a director of nursing, as an individual, and how my growth really started coming out during COVID and right after COVID. So stay tuned. See you tomorrow. We're doing 8 days until my actual anniversary day on August 28th of my journey of being a director of nursing in long-term care in the same position for 8 years. Before you depart today, which I greatly appreciate, if you could please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, MCB Nurse Consultant, where you'll find more videos like this, and continue to follow the videos that we do put up for my directors of nursing. So have a great day, and I will see you on day 4.